And good evening, everybody. Obviously, Danny's not here because he's a complete irresponsible jerk, and I can't stand him. And he's not going to be on the show anymore. That's it. I'm putting my foot down. I'm done with it. Anyway, let's get started here. I'll just look at what's going on in the chat. Anthony Mark, can Godzilla stand up to some constructive criticism from a royal knight? I'll find out tomorrow. A royal knight? You lost me. Mike Richards in the house. Good to see you, my friend. Best thing to come out of Columbus, Ohio. Let's see. Mike says, there's no truth to the rumor that Godzilla is a Kurogan agent. That is true. Godzilla's way too cool to be from Kuroga. Now, Gamera, on the other hand, could be Kurogan. Yorktown is here from the Canadian Far East. Thomas Potts is here, says, still doesn't make sense the U.S. wouldn't get involved because it would create tension with the USSR. After all, the U.S. and USSR joined to fire on those mutants in Cuba. Well, it was written by the Japanese, and they need an excuse to keep America out of it. So what can you say? Put Christ back in Christmas this year. Okay. Off topic, but okay. Damn, New Boys season is wacky. I have not seen anything on it yet. I'm not even sure if I finished the last season or not, because honestly, that show is so gratuitous. But maybe I'll check it out. Let's see. Is Bird of Prey descended from Godzilla? No, definitely not. I believe he is descended from Jabba the Hutt. Like chickens and dinosaurs. Yes, indeed. That part I can get behind. Jolan Drew says, Arabic, good to see you, my friend. Alex Bogey in the house. Is this the Godzilla that has the typecast French cop actor? No, this is a good Godzilla movie. Arabic saying hi to Thomas. All right, and Alex says, Hunter Biden is now my I assume hero, a martyr for the Second Amendment. There should be no federal gun forms. Okay, Alex. So Alex has flipped the script and is now a Democrat. That I believe. Wait a minute. Let me check the weather report. Yeah, hell just froze over. Thomas is saying hi to Arabic. Alex says, was yesterday's Acolyte worth watching? I think so. I know a lot of people hated it, but I didn't think it was bad. I still think their strongest episode was the first episode by a significant margin, but yesterday's was not bad.
So you're firing me, huh?
No. I said Danny's a little bit late, but man, I love him so much that I'm going to offer him the grace that the Lord would give you and welcome you with open arms when you finally showed up.
Yeah, that's not what I heard, but thank you for that. That's I was listening.
And Thomas says, like, Dork is ever here on time. Well,
Hey, guys.
He is sometimes. He is sometimes.
Sometimes it's just this job.
Broken clock rule. Broken clock.
Wow. Well, 101 days and I'm working. Give me a little grace, like you said.
Mothra, probably Krogan. No, again, you're thinking too high class. Like, look, think about like the monsters that show up on the show Ultraman, maybe, but really more like the monsters that show up on Power Rangers. Those are the Kurogan kaiju. So Salty's going to sit there and argue with himself. Well, I could do that, but obviously now Danny's here. They're singing that song at the end of episode 3. Oh yeah, look. People have been making a big old deal about that song. It's really, it's not like they have it on there for hours and hours of, it's a chant that they do. It's you know what? I will tell you, anybody that wants to spend and I was thinking about putting together an edit of this because people bitching about that song has been a big theme on the tubes lately.
Oh, and I don't even want to talk
the Acolyte song. But here's the thing. Why aren't these people bitching about the Yub Yub song or the song by the Jizz Band at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, or the song that the frickin' Gungans sing at the end of Phantom Menace. I mean, stupid songs in Star Wars go hand in hand. You know, so that song is one of the least offensive, probably the least offensive of the four I just mentioned. Also, no in hell, the U.S. would allow Japan to use naval ships. Well, they were unarmed ships. Thomas thinks the 1998 Godzilla is a great movie. Thomas, that is completely insane.
So does Alex with Salty Trekker. He gave it a pretty high review on Critics.
The 1998 one?
Yeah.
Good
funny,
Godzilla. So the one with Broderick. No, not the one with Broderick. This is the really good Godzilla. Let's see. Miss Moneypenny is here. Good to see you. Alex says, Salty, any chance I can be a guest host for the Let He Who Is Without Sin as a birthday present? What do you think, Danny?
One, are you willing to come on camera? And two,
He's been on camera before, I think.
just how ugly are you?
Wow, dude. I mean, I'm okay with it, but you just have to realize that, you know, it will be a discussion and you will. But, and actually, you know, so we're doing Without Sin a week from today, correct?
It's what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you can commit to being here a week from today, I'm okay with that. And we got ourselves a super chat from Alex.
Super chat.
Saying, because we love Yub Yub and want to sing in November. I'm not sure what the November thing is, but the Yub Yub song is so bad. You remember the Yub Yub song, right?
From Spaceballs?
No, from Return of the Jedi. It's what the Ewoks sing at the end of the original cut.
Yeah, I was trying to be funny. I know what you're talking about.
You failed miserably.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
And let's see what Stan is clarifying. No, I meant Put the Christ Back in Christmas this year is being sung at the end of the first batch of Boys episodes.
No, don't talk about. I haven't seen Boys yet. Don't talk about Boys. Nobody talk about Boys. No Boys talk, please, because I love that show. I'm all caught up.
I don't know why you like that show. It's so.
But I
awful.
haven't seen. I just found out watching. I was listening to the Popcast Unleashed on in the car on the way here, and thankfully he wanted to talk about it. Kadish, who was guesting, hadn't seen it, so they didn't get into it. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that until I get to watch it probably tonight.
How much of it dropped? Is it the whole season?
I don't know. Usually they do like 2 episodes. Yeah, I have no idea. He says Stanley says 3 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, is it dropping on Thursdays then?
I think that's what it used to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could cover it if you want.
I thought you hated it. I mean, I'm going to watch it.
Oh.
I'm going to watch it regardless. So if you
I do. I do absolutely despise that show.
Well, you made me watch Discovery, so
yeah. But I mean, this show makes Discovery look good. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so Alex, you will need to be. Let's see. I'm not sure. Do you have Alex's contact on Twitter or anything?
I do not know, but DM me.
Yeah,
Alex.
so DM Danny at Dork Knight LV on Twitter, and we'll send you the link ahead of time, but you need to be here before we start the show. If you're not here before we start the show, then you're out of luck. All right?
Yeah. And I will actually commit to showing
Danny
up 30 minutes. I'll show up 30 minutes early because we're going to have to readjust some stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to move some things. Yeah, because we'll need to move some things around on the screen to have 3. Like we used to when we had Jason.
We got to do that in both chats. So I'll go ahead and make a little announcement here. Next Wednesday, we're going to have a special guest, a fella I met on Criticalist, Mr. Know-It-All. to talk Star Wars Acolyte Episode 4 with us, so we can, because Salty and I have been agreeing a little bit too much. We need an opposing point of view, otherwise it's nerd love, not nerd fights. So.
Yeah, and it is. I know it sounds stupid, but I absolutely do not want this show to ever feel like an echo chamber.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This is not going to be Friday Night Tights or the Salty Podcast or whatever they call it, the Salty Nerds Podcast, where everybody just agrees, and if you disagree, you can't be on the show anymore.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen here.
That's not. Yeah, we want opposing views,
right? And Danny and I usually have things to argue about, although we've been agreeing mostly on the Acolyte. And on this movie, I mean, look, I gave this movie a 95 on Critic List. I'll just not bury the lead here. And Danny, I think, gave it a 90.
I plan on. I'm posting my review after the show, but I am going to give it a 90, and I'll explain why. Almost gave it a 95 until the last 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, but I reviewed the movie when it first came out in theaters, and I will say that even the weaker visual effects scenes look way better when they're on a 50-foot screen.
Yeah. So originally, I had docked off 10 points. I was going to give it a 90, and then the fight at the end was so epic.
Yeah.
I added 5, and then something happened at the end that kind of pissed me off, so I took the 5 back off. So it's 9 out of 10 is still good, though. I mean, it's a good hot take. I love the hell out of it. It's it's my favorite Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
And mine too. And unlike Danny, I have seen every single Godzilla film, all 30 whatever or however many.
Yeah, I've only seen all the American ones and then one Toho one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you include this too. But,
Yeah. And
one rubber suit one.
Yeah. And I will say this, when I was a kid, now keep in mind, the first Godzilla movie came out before I was born in 1954. And I saw that movie when I was a little kid, and it scared the crap out of me. Granted, I was a little kid, keep that in mind, and we didn't have modern day visual effects, so...
Yeah.
But, and maybe we should watch that sometime, because if you've never seen the 1954 Godzilla, it is a very, for its day, a very well put together horror film.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I saw, I can't remember the name, but it was Godzilla versus something or other.
Right, which was most of the sequels was Godzilla versus something or another.
Yeah.
But the original Godzilla 1954 absolutely scared the pants off me. And then I saw all the kaiju films that Godzilla was in. Most of them, I mean, and again, I'm really surprised Danny never got into it because they are put together very much like WWE. I mean, really, it's just the whole movie is just a build up to the big wrestling match at the end. and so instead of a ring, it's a city. That's but and everybody has their special move. It's just that their special move usually involves projectiles of some kind,
So my mother texted me this morning. Mm-hmm. Here, let me pull it up because I want to read it. So she, I guess she watched Godzilla -1 to get ready for our stream today.
Oh, what she watched it today?
She must have either today or last night. She texted me probably today. She texted me at 5:13. Did you cry? Well, okay. The reason I want to read this is because I'm going to tie it into the trivia question. Mm-hmm. All right. So, forgive me in advance. We're talking about something that happens at the end of the movie, but it's going to be vague. Okay. She texted me this. Did you cry when he got to the hospital and found her at the end? Now, my mother knows the answer to this question because I replied immediately. So whoever gets the correct answer first, you got a 50-50 shot. So this is kind of a lazy trivia question. I might do a hard one later for fun because Criticalist gave me so much cool swag. Again, criticalist.com. You can get a cool hat like this at shop.criticalist.com.
So if you've seen the movie, there's a very heartstring moment at the end of the film.
Yeah. And I got tons of stuff to give away. I might do a harder one. But, you guys like to pick on me for crying, so I thought this would be fun. Yes or no, did I cry at that scene? Mom, don't spoil the answer. You already know because I replied to you. So that's today's Criticalist trivia question.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
What really got him was when Godzilla got down on his knees and said, "I have been and always shall be your friend."
Your friend. Now, I'm not going to reveal the answer, though. You got to stick around till the end of the show.
So you're going to make a note of who it was, and then...
Yeah, I'm paying attention. People are already guessing. So
okay. I didn't see any guesses on there, but the
Bradley put in a guess already.
Okay.
Trek Review put in a guess already. So
I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ariel was asking which era of Godzilla film was the one that you saw. Now, Danny wouldn't know the different eras.
I want to say it was probably more closer to the 70s. I could look it up because I have it.
If it was in like the 70s, that was I don't remember the names of the eras, but that was basically Generation 1 Godzilla, the original rubber suit. Anyway, what I was trying to say before is that the original Godzilla scared the crap out of me when I first...
Hey, look at that. I said we were going to wait till the end, but we have our winner. We have our winner. We have our winner right there, Mike Richards. I'm just kidding. That's not the real answer.
That actually is the answer. Actually, Danny's about to get a punch in the face because that's like the fourth time I've tried to tell this story, and
sorry,
and
I will shut up now.
All right. So, the 1954 Godzilla, when I was a little kid, absolutely scared the crap. It gave me nightmares. That's an effective horror movie. It is for if you're a kid and you get some nightmares after watching it. I had not been scared by Godzilla ever again until this year when I saw this movie. This was the first time I felt like Godzilla was scary. Since the first film.
Tell the people, go to supportsalty.com and check out our watch. How many times I jump out of my seat?
Yeah, and it is posted, by the way, just so you know.
I jumped probably a dozen times out of my seat. He's not kidding.
And so, which we'll talk about when it happens here in our little review. But yeah, it is, and there Ariel's got the eras listed there for you.
Okay.
The Showa era was 50s through 70s. Heisei was 80s through 90s, and the Millennium era is the later stuff, which mostly sucks. And I would assume that this movie, Godzilla -1, is the beginning of a new era of Godzilla, but we don't know what they're going to call it.
Okay, well, the one I saw, I was wrong, came out in 1964. All right. So that would still
If it came out in 1964, yeah, that was the first era. That was...
okay.
The Showa era of Godzilla. And I'm trying to remember, I think, was Showa the name of the guy in the suit, or was Showa the name of, like, a producer of the show? I don't even know how... You obviously know more about that stuff. I never know the behind-the-scenes stuff. I just know I like the movies. So this movie is called Godzilla -1, which has a weird title. I did explain it to Danny, and
I'm stupid. I needed the explanation.
Well, no, it's not that you're stupid, because you know what? To Americans, the phrase doesn't mean anything, and this is a very Japanese movie. I mean, the symbolism, everything is it's unlike, like if you're used to the MonsterVerse that we've seen in the American films from Legendary, which are great films, but unlike those films, this is this doesn't even try to appease an international audience. This is a Japanese film made by Japanese people for Japanese people. And it's a very heartfelt film about Japanese history, about Japanese culture, and of course, a legendary creature that Japanese cinema has brought to everybody.
And it was a really, really interesting take, having it take place right after World War II, which I actually had people hit me up, getting upset with me. Like, you need to make it more clear, I guess, when you're joking, saying that I was not being very racist. I was making jokes from like the 50s. Racist, I was making, they are made. Okay, I won't make them on the show, but I was just, echoing sentiments from I heard my grandfather say when I was a kid, and
Yeah, he was. Yeah, whew, man, you were bad.
but I was
You-
doing it for comedic value. I don't really, I'm not in my heart. I don't mean it. So I just wanted to put that out there because I did get a couple texts from people really disappointed in you, man.
Yeah.
I expect better from you now that you're sober. I'm like, fuck, dude, we were kidding around,
And Ariel, I agree with that. And in fact, I've said when this movie first came out and I saw it, that this was a really good movie that just happens to have Godzilla in it. The
And Godzilla ain't no good guy.
Yeah.
Oh hell no in this movie. Yeah,
but the interesting thing to me is that this was the first Godzilla movie where I cared more about the human characters than about Godzilla himself.
totally. Like at the beginning of the. Oh yeah, thanks Thomas. At the beginning of the movie, I was being really hard on the main character, and he won me over by the end. Did he not? Like,
Because the whole movie is an excellently done redemption arc, and it's supposed to symbolize Japan's redemption from World War II to modern day.
Yeah.
And
It was a very well done movie.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with it. Yeah.
because at the end, so going back to the -1 thing, because Danny never wants to let me finish a thought, is that the idea was that it was in Japanese culture, they felt like, because now pick on Danny a little bit here. Danny dealing with alcoholism. Most people who deal with alcoholism or drug addiction or something like that know their rock bottom moment, right? When
I can tell you mine.
yeah, there was nowhere to go. And so what they're saying is at the end of World War II, Japan was at its rock bottom. It was at 0. And Godzilla took it to -1. Because where do you go from 0? You got to go up. No, now you got Godzilla. You are effed.
Yeah.
You are completely and utterly effed. And that's where the title came from. But a lot of people, the American audience in particular, didn't get it. But, when then they'd see the movie, they say, what a great movie. But most of them don't understand the title. And so I don't know what they're going to do for a sequel to this. I just really hope they make a sequel to this.
And well, they left it open for a sequel at the end, for sure. And Ariel, thank you. You can make the inappropriate jokes so I don't have to.
Believe me, that word was the least offensive thing to come out of Danny's mouth. I don't even know if you used that word because you were too busy calling them way worse things than that.
I did. I made a reference to something my grandfather used. He used to use the term "Jap attack," which meant.
Okay, yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, So anyway, if you're old, you talk to
but let's
your
not
grandparents.
actually say that anymore. And
I won't. Yeah, I won't.
And try not to put any racial epithets in the chat because we don't want the channel to get flagged. Please.
Dude, did you get a copy? I'm not monetized, so I don't know. It doesn't. It affects me differently. But I got a copyright strike on our stream yesterday. Did you get one?
Did you? I haven't checked.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised because if you got one, I'm sure I did. Let me go to YouTube Studio. And it was for yesterday's stream.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did it say?
I can pull it up. Hold on. Just find all this stuff.
Yeah, I did not get one.
Uh-oh.
What?
Well, everything's frozen, but if you can still hear me and see me,
I can hear you. Yeah.
I'll just wait for it. Hopefully, it'll just unfreeze. But everything just froze on me. So
Hopefully, it's not frozen for our audience. That's.
yeah. No, I mean everything froze. Like my other monitors.
Oh, on your computer it froze.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll hope. Yeah, but yeah, I do not have any copyright strikes currently.
Crazy. I wonder why I got it.
Yeah, don't know.
Let's see. Okay, it just unfroze. Thank goodness. Let me. Let's see. So I'll pull it up. Content live. So yeah, I got Oh yeah, yesterday's. It says copyright protected content found. See details. Oh, it's the music from our countdown. That's
Really?
weird. Yeah. It's
Oh,
called
you know
Deep
what?
Down in the Caverns.
Yeah,
So,
we're gonna have to change that music then. I didn't even think about that because I'm using Epidemic Sound, which I subscribe to, and you don't.
okay.
That's
Okay.
what the problem is. So
Okay.
so we'll have to find a different music thing if you want to stream it on your channel,
For sure.
or you can subscribe to Epidemic Sound. One of the two. But anyway, so this movie takes place immediately. Well, it actually starts out during World War II.
Oh, hey, Donnie. I saw you over at, we were chatting over on the Unleashed show earlier today. Good to see you again, bud.
So there we go. So our opening shot here is of a Japanese Zero, which we find out in a minute is actually a kamikaze plane. Which, for those of you that don't know anything about history, towards the end of World War II, Japan started using a tactic called kamikaze against Americans, where the planes would literally suicide into the ships.
Yeah, they were suicide. The pilots knew going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was considered the highest honor to be a kamikaze pilot. However, the ultimate dishonor would be to be a kamikaze pilot who survived, which is this guy.
Right. And
So,
man, I let him have it the first,
Yeah.
third of this movie.
so he okay, so 1945, the final days of World War II. He lands his plane at this small Japanese base, saying that he was having technical problems with his plane. And everybody, the entire crew goes over the plane from head to tail and can't find anything wrong with it. And of course, this guy finally has a little bit of a mental breakdown because basically he chickened out. He didn't want, and later I kind of like, there's a line of dialogue he says, "Where is the honor in sacrificing yourself for a lost cause?" Because everybody knew that America was going to win the war at this point. What's the point in killing yourself for a cause that we've already lost? It didn't make any sense to him. But he's having something of a existential breakdown because he couldn't go through with it, which is the ultimate in shame. Mm-hmm. And and this is him right here, our main character, who I apologize, I cannot remember the characters' names. Maybe you should IMDb it so we can try to remember who these guys are. I want to give them respect because I love all these characters, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, so he was, we're just going to go with Shikishima. We can go with Shiki.
Shikishima, I think.
Shikishima, yeah.
All right. And so... so he, he's talking to this engineer who, the engineer, it's kind of funny. This is where, first of all, and I commented on this on our watch along, look at that cinematography. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely gorgeous, and they went to various locations around Japan for this film. It wasn't filmed on a cheap studio like so many movies are. And they really use the environment well for the lighting and all that. I got to admire that. But this engineer he's talking to, in any other Godzilla movie, would be just a character that you see in this scene. He might have a couple of lines, and then we never see him again, never think about him again. Mm-hmm. But this guy is a key part of the last act of the film. And so I love the fact that, there's nothing throwaway about this movie. But then he looks down and he sees some dead fish in the water. He's like, huh, that's weird.
So it's funny you mentioned the cinematography. It did win the Academy Award for cinematography in 2024. And this guy, the cinematographer, Kozo Shibasaki. He actually has 6 best cinematography wins under his belt.
Wow. Well, it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me based on what we saw here.
Yeah.
And so then they retreat to the set of Gilligan's Island, where they, that night, and I mean, come on, look at that thing. Tell me that doesn't look like Gilligan's Island right there.
A little bit.
And they hear something, they hear a commotion, they think the Americans might be attacking or something like that. But it turns out to be...
And the kids saw those dead.
Yeah, with a dead fish.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be something that none of them were bargaining for. And because now the local, there it is, eating someone.
God, dude, this whole scene, I was like, oh! It's like, he doesn't even eat him. He just bites him and then tosses him aside.
Right. So the locals call this thing Godzilla, but you notice it's not much bigger than a T-Rex. It's big, it's ferocious. You wouldn't want to mess with it, but it's not Godzilla, not the Godzilla we know.
Right.
It's just this.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's just like a T-Rex sized beast that likes, biting people and throwing them around for fun. There he is taking a shot. So look at the size of his head compared to the legs of this guy.
And the legs even right now look more reptilian, like a T-Rex, than they do later when he gets bigger and they look more like legs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And so, and this is actually borrowed. You wouldn't know about this, Danny, but this is borrowing from the plot of a later. I think it's Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, if I remember correctly. Ariel, correct me if I'm wrong, but which involved time traveling people from the future and changing history and stuff, but. What they're borrowing from that is a little piece of the origin of Godzilla, which is that Godzilla was originally a Godzillasaurus, which, just a big, basically T-Rex type of dinosaur, who was then mutated by the American experiments with nuclear power. Mm-hmm. As opposed to an ancient beast that had just been sleeping and was awoken by the nukes. So it's a slightly different take on it, and yes, that's a chicken, Ariel. We talked about that, by the way. T-Rexes are giant chickens.
Yeah.
And so and there you can get there's a decent shot of him.
Yeah.
He's
see, and this looks good. As far as special effects wise, but there are only certain parts that I was like, oh, that looks bad,
there are a few shots here and there
but not a lot.
Subpar,
like overall, not. I mean, especially with the budget, my goodness.
Right. Yeah, this was made for less than the cost of one episode of The Acolyte.
Yeah.
So something to consider.
Yeah.
And yes, Mike Richards, a G-Rex, if you will. And so they try to get him to climb into his airplane and shoot him, but he chickens out once again.
Oh yeah, and I was yelling at the screen.
Yeah. And so then he wakes up the next morning after being knocked unconscious by flying debris, and finds only one other survivor, that engineer. Mm-hmm. And the engineer is like lining up the bodies, I'm assuming, so that they can be picked up later. And the engineer basically tells him that they're all dead because he chickened out and refused to fire his machine guns at Godzilla. And it is true, because Godzilla was so small at this point that I think it is entirely possible that the machine guns from a Zero might have taken him out.
He would have had a way better chance than later, for sure.
Yeah. And so here we see a bunch of Japanese soldiers being transported home after the war. And again, he is harassed by the one dude about what happened. And trying to get back to that title card. So December 1945, Tokyo. Now, Tokyo obviously was never nuked, but it was we bombed the crap out of Tokyo during the war. Mm-hmm. And our main character here happens to live in a neighborhood that got absolutely obliterated by American bombs. Mm-hmm. And so this is his next door neighbor, the nosy lady who again, all these characters, at first you just think they're nothing, and then you get to know them and you get to love them over the course of this movie. And she's no exception. When you first meet her, you think, what a jerk. 'Cause, or you're in Danny's case, he's saying, yeah, she's so right, because she goes off on him for being alive.
Oh, yeah.
She absolutely rails into him because she says it's because of basically chickens like you that we lost the war. Mm-hmm. And of course their whole neighborhood has been completely bombed out. His parents are dead because their house was destroyed. Everything he ever knew is gone.
Yeah.
And now he has people who just, no heroes welcome or anything like we're used to when our soldiers come home and everybody's cheering them on. No, this guy, he is a surviving kamikaze pilot. He is the worst kind of low life there ever was.
Yet he still wasn't treated as poorly as we treated our Vietnam vets.
Well, that was a whole different... Well, the Vietnam vets is kind of weird because there were some people that hated him, some people that loved him. So it just depended on... But it was such a political issue.
Yeah.
So he is... he's reading this. Translate that for us, will you, Danny?
I was so mad because they didn't give us any kind of... We have no idea what this says. Yeah.
No, you can read it right there. It says... Dear viewer, if you're watching this movie, thank you so much. But if you are a filthy American, suck my tiny...
Hey.
Whoa. That's... Did you write this, Danny? Because there's a lot of slurs in here. Oh, man. I mean, I see the color yellow mentioned a few times. I see various shapes mentioned a couple of times. This is bad. Man.
You're terrible.
Anyway, so I don't know what this letter is, but he's reading it, and he's basically trying to figure out what he's going to do, living in this shanty town, and completely out of nowhere, this chick shows up, and she's running from people, and she hands him a bundle and says, "Here, watch this for me." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And it turns out it's a baby that she's carrying. This is actually after.
This is right after when she's like,
Yeah, it's a baby.
What took you so long?
And so then she eventually comes back, and they have this conversation because she's got this baby that's not even hers. Mm-hmm. She says that the mother of the child, was killed in one of the bombing raids. And as she was bleeding out and dying, handed her baby and said, "Please take care of my baby." Mm-hmm. And so here you have our honorless hero with a woman with a baby who has no husband to take care of her, and it's not even her baby, and she doesn't know how to take care of a baby. Mm-hmm. And this is our core family for the rest of this film.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about dysfunctional? that's jacked up. But he
gets really dysfunctional when the lady that is so mad at him ends up kind of helping him out because she had children,
Right.
but they got killed.
So he brings her back to what's left of his home, and so this set, the shambles of their home, you see it improve over the rest of the film, but this is where they're going to live, and as kind of a weird, not nobody's related to anybody else family.
Yeah.
And the nosy neighbor that was reading him the riot act for even being alive, when she finds out they have a baby and they don't know how to take care of it, she gives up her supply of white rice so that they can make gruel for the baby, and teaches them how to take care of the baby. And
What a good pause you have here. I love it because she's just going off on him.
Yeah, and it's just and the thing is, so she becomes a surrogate grandmother to this baby. So the next door neighbor is actually now kind of a part of the family. Mm-hmm. Even though when we first meet them, all she has to do is tell him what a horrible person he is just for being alive. And so, here's her giving up her rice and basically, helping them learn how to be parents to a baby that neither of them know. So we flash forward a little bit. Yeah, this is now 1946. It was December 1945, so it's a few months later. And we find out that our hero has now gotten a job. And it's going to pay really well. He has a nice cash advance. But the reason the job pays well is because it's also very dangerous. And she's not too keen on the idea, but at the same time, he's got to do something so they make some money. And he's trying to take responsibility for his not quite a family.
Right.
And what is his job? It's working with these guys. I love these guys. Man, these three, are they're kind of the comic relief, if you would call it that, but really not. They're just lighter in tone. So the guy so the guy in the foreground with the scruffy hair, he is Doc, and he used to design weapons for the military during the war. The guy behind them, in between Doc and our main character, is the captain. And it's obviously he's the captain of this boat. And then the guy with his foot up on the rail is Kid. And I'm not kidding. This is what they're called throughout this movie. And his whole thing is he lacks experience. So he was
It made it real easy for American viewers. You got Captain, Doc, and Kid.
Right.
We remember their names. I already forgot that dude's name. Shit.
But Kid he was too young to be in the war. Shikishima, yeah. Kid was too young to be in the war, and this is like his first job. And so, Kid is literally just a kid to the rest of them. Where Doc and Captain and Shikishima are all there because they desperately need to rebuild after the war. Mm-hmm. And the job, notice this, they're standing on an old wooden boat, and their job is to collect and disarm mines in the water. And they have these old wooden boats because the mines of World War II were magnetic. And so if you tried to do it in a metal boat, the mines would be attracted to the boat, and kaboom, you're dead. Mm-hmm. So they put out to sea, and we see that the boat has a machine gun on the back. And so what they do is two of these boats drag a rope on deep in the ocean that detach the mines from the cables that's holding them down. And then the mines bubble up to the surface. They use the machine gun to shoot the mine, and kaboom, no more mine.
Right. And I like this scene because it shows the kids what the value that he brings, because this guy keeps missing it, and the kid's explaining to him why and what he has to do, or not kid,
Shikishima, yeah.
is explaining to him what he, and then he he blows it up. So he
Because
becomes,
he's the only one with combat training.
yeah.
And so he's much better with the machine gun than anybody else.
No, it's not a 50 cal. They call, I can't remember. They do tell us what it is in the movie. I just don't remember. But I know it's not a 50 cal.
So this is his job. He's having nightmares about the Godzilla attack on the island. The fact that he was the only survivor, and he's got survivor's guilt. Not to mention the whole thing about him being a kamikaze that chickened out. So he is still dealing with a lot of PTSD here.
Yeah.
And so these are pictures of his family and stuff from before the war, which of course just aggravates his PTSD. Yeah. And then what happens? Yes, indeed. July 1946, Bikini Atoll, Operation Crossroads. The Americans...
Monarch as well.
Yes. Yeah. And so what they're saying here is that the Bikini Atoll nuclear test basically hit Godzilla, or the Godzillasaurus.
Thank you, Planet X. That's what it was. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a 20 millimeter gun.
Yeah.
And so the Bikini Atoll test mutated Godzilla, but we don't know into what yet.
Right.
So then we come back, and okay, so it's been a little bit of time. I think, what are we at now? Like a year and a half?
Something like that.
Yeah.
At least a year.
So they've all been working together. They all kind of know each other now. We're following a significant portion of these guys' lives, which is kind of cool.
But this is the scene where they find out that's not his wife and that's not his kid.
Right.
And so here they just assume that it's his wife and kid until this scene. Yeah.
Right. And it's also painfully obvious that he cares deeply about both her and the kid.
Yes.
And I do like that you can see how their friendship has evolved. It feels very genuine that these guys are the kind of guys that after being at sea for a while together would come out and hang out together in their homes and share meals together and hang out. So we're just seeing that they're building. Yes, Mike, Godzilla is an X-Men. Yes, that is 100%. By the way, Godzilla is in Marvel Comics. So there is that. I actually have a copy of Godzilla #1. And yes, Penny, I know there were 2 survivors, but he's having survivor's guilt. So then she decides she's going to get a job to contribute to the house.
Do we ever find out what her job is?
She says it's like some kind of accounting job, I believe. Was it? Okay. Something like that.
I didn't know if it was like retail or what.
No, okay. I think it was like some kind of accounting or it's some kind of office job.
Okay.
And that the nosy neighbor is going to watch the baby when she's at work because she feels like she really needs to contribute as well.
See, look at this. It's not woke. You get an example of a woman who wants to be strong and independent, but I'm not getting smacked in the face with it. You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, because back then, especially in Japan, that's practically an act of rebellion for her to want to get a job. But at the same time, this movie doesn't hit you over the head with it.
Yeah.
It's just a scene. So then we get this little bit of exposition, and this is what some of the people were complaining about before, is that they've figured out that there's a monstrous creature that is heading towards Japan, but the United States refuses to help because they're worried about increasing tensions with Russia.
Mm-hmm. Why would they have a problem? This all makes sense to me.
Right, and that's I think that. Look, I grew up in the height of the Cold War, and I will tell you that any time, right now there are there's a Russian fleet heading towards Cuba right now. It was just a little blurb on the bottom of the screen during the news.
Yeah,
But
aren't they doing their little like their war games thing or something? Like
I don't know. But if Russia was actually moving ships towards Cuba in the 50s or the 60s or the 70s, it would have been front page news and everybody would have been freaking out about it. And the president of the United States would be making threats and all that, which did happen. It's called the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, and we'd have an increase in those duck and cover drills.
Right. So the fact that the United States doesn't want to send a bunch of military forces to Japan actually makes sense, because the last thing they want is for the Soviet Union to think that the United States was making an aggressive move. Because at this point, you know, the Russians and the United States, they absolutely despise each other, and if they went to war, both sides now had a active nuclear weapon program, and it could have just been, you know, just destruction on a scale that humanity wasn't ready for. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I do like that they actually show the letter written by Douglas MacArthur saying, "Sorry, we're not going to help." And we
Duck and cover.
Yeah.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover.
Sorry.
I remember those drills when I was a kid. Oh man, we did that all the time.
It's weird because people keep telling me, because I remember doing them like up until maybe second or third grade, and people were like, "There's no way," because of my age. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, like they were still doing that in the 80s, you know?
Yeah. They stopped during the 80s, but yeah, they were still doing it, because keep in mind, remember the Cold War really ended towards the end of the 80s.
And yeah, Aravik, I used to think the same thing. Yeah, ducking and covering under my desk is really going to save my life, but whatever. You know.
It depends on how close you were to ground zero.
Yeah.
And Alex really wants to know, but does Godzilla have faith of the heart?
Oh, Jesus. I was trying to ignore that.
Because he's got faith.
Shut up! Don't do that, you bastard.
Gonna shoot atomic breath now. and Danny has left. Everyone knows you have to run into a refrigerator. Yeah, we learned that from Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys are out doing their job, and they come across a naval vessel that has been absolutely mauled by Godzilla. And then Shikishima, something like that, notices a bunch of dead fish. Just
Yeah,
like,
you got it right. Shikishima. We'll get it by the end of this show.
yeah, Shikishima sees a bunch of dead fish off the side of the ship, and of course remembers what happened on the island, but also notices that there's a whole lot more dead fish than what he saw at the island.
Super chat.
And thank you so much, Aravik, with a $2 super chat, says, "Yes, I've got faith of the heart." Yes, I finally sang it, so thank you. As Danny just can't stand when I sing that for some reason. I don't know why.
That song is why Enterprise only got 4 seasons.
That song was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
So then Godzilla rises up out of the water, and this is our first look at Ariel, just for you.
There you go. Yeah.
And by the way, I do like the camera angles here, because this is what Godzilla would look like to a person on the ground. You know, so, but yeah, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what I'm gonna do.
Let me guess, you're gonna go pee.
I'm gonna let you tell the fine folks in the chat about our amazing sponsor while I take my mandatory union break. I gotta pee. Yeah, I'll be right back.
So yeah, Criticless is who he's talking about, and Criticless is, if you haven't been there, seriously, guys, And I'm not getting paid money to say this. I wish I was, but I'm not. Hopefully, if Criticalist ever becomes big enough and this channel becomes big enough, maybe they'll pay us. But I do really like the site. If you've seen me and my wife, Bridget, doing movie reviews on the other channel, we're going to continue to try to work on improving the quality of those. But every time we do a review, we also post it to Criticalist. So if you follow me on Criticalist, you'll see when the reviews post, you can see the videos, and you can see my breakdown of everything in the movie in the Criticalist review. It is a movie review website for people that don't like typical critics. And so you can find the people that you like that either entertain you or you agree with, you think are giving a good unbiased opinion, or maybe you want a biased opinion, and it might be people there that give a good biased opinion for you. And you follow just those people. It's not like on Rotten Tomatoes, you see, okay, here's what the critic consensus is, and here's what no, this is like, it's like a combination of Rotten Tomatoes and Facebook. Like you can follow the ones that you like and follow their reviews. You can create groups and hang out in these groups and have conversations about it. And if you want to put reviews up, guess what? Go right ahead. And nobody is prioritized over anybody else, right? You can pay for some extra services from the website, which I do. And no, Aravic, it is for movies and TV shows. In fact, like I have a review for, I think Star Trek Discovery, I think is up there. But yeah, you can review movies and TV shows. What you can't do yet, and we've talked to Blaine about, and he's, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, is, but he said, on TV shows, he's talking about making it so that you can review individual seasons of a TV show, but I also think it would be nice if you could review individual episodes. He doesn't quite have that ability yet. But what Blaine needs from us, and Blaine is the creator of Criticalist, is he needs us to be on the website, to make it an active, vibrant social media site, because this is social media the way it's supposed to be. I can't emphasize that enough. And so I hope that it gains traction. I hope that more people join it. And Blaine is not only a nice guy, he's actually got a sense of humor. If you've seen his commercials, you know what I'm talking about. Speaking of which,
I wonder if there's any good movies out this weekend.
Would you like me to recommend you some new movies?
Ah! Oh my god, what was that?
Hello, my name is Lit. I am your in-car information system. I can give you recommendations for any type of entertainment. Would you like to hear about the most popular movies in theaters today based on critic scores from Rotten Apples?
Okay, yeah, I would, actually.
The #1 movie in the country this weekend is about a homosexual chipmunk who learns how to play chess. This 4-hour epic displays 10 full chess matches in real time.
No, absolutely not. That sounds literally horrendous. I can't even believe that's real.
Okay, well, the second highest rated movie, with 98% on Rotten Apples, is about a poor starving girl living in the 1920s who finds refuge in a cannibalistic swinger commune, where they all learn the value of love while feasting on the flesh of the innocent.
Who's rating these?
These are ratings from the top film critics in the country.
I am so sick of this. Honestly, I'll just find my own movie.
and I do love why is this still playing? There. I do love the way that ad ends where it says, because critics suck. So guys, absolutely go to Criticalist, check it out. I think the link should be in the description of my video. I'm not 100% sure on Danny's, but it should be there. If you see Blaine, send him a message. Tell him that NERDFIGHTS sent you. Because if more people say that, maybe, Blaine will start kicking us some cheddar.
Hey.
That would be nice.
Excellent job.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, check it out for sure. I have a review of this movie on there. Danny is going to soon. Yeah. This Criticless is the place to go. And the nice thing is, like, you might get reviews for, like, I was saying, like, if you follow a critic you like, let's say you think you have similar taste to me in film. Well, then, my wife and I have started a thing now. We go to see a movie every single Friday, even, so if there's nothing new coming out that we want to see, we'll pick a movie that we just haven't seen. Like this Friday, we're going to see Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Yeah, Mom saw it, said she enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was not planning on seeing this one, but we decided, we didn't want to see Inside Out 2, so we were like, okay, we'll check it out. But a couple of weeks ago, we saw a horror movie that nobody had ever heard of called In a Violent Nature, and it turned out to be really good. And so you can check out these reviews and say, hey, that's not a movie I was going to see, but based on what this guy's saying, I might want to throw a few bucks in the direction of that movie. Show Hollywood that, hey, this is the kind of thing we want. Or, if you want to see what movies to avoid, look for the movies that Danny really likes. Because, he has bad taste.
Oh, wow. That's funny. So Kristen in the chat says Will Smith gets slapped in the movie.
If Will Smith gets slapped in this movie, that will take me right out of it. It really will. I hope that doesn't happen. The only way the only reference I would take would be, and I know it's not, but it would be like if Chris Rock had a small part as a villain and Will Smith punched him. That would be hilarious. But I don't think that either Chris Rock or Will Smith are ready for that. So Kristen, as an AMC investor, absolutely go to the movies. Yeah. So what we did, we have an AMC theater here. Now we're not at the investor level. I don't know exactly how much you got to pay for that, but we're the step below that where we do get to see 3 movies a week on our subscription plan.
She's probably actually talking about the stock market. She's probably
no AMC. Actually, I think they do have an investor level thing
okay.
Because when you go to an AMC theater, you actually hear, we'd like to take a moment to thank our investors. And so they also thank their Stubs members and stuff like that. So we're like the A+ whatever level, which is above Stubs but below investor.
Okay.
And Penny, please don't post anything about Bad Boys in the chat, please. I don't. If you're joking, great, but please don't. I don't want to know anything about it before I see it, and I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Yeah, she was telling me about it, and I haven't even seen the last Bad Boys movie.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But yeah. So and by the way, of course, AMC is not sponsoring us as much as AMC. Hey. I'll take your money. I will take your money, and I will talk about how awesome you are, because I do like.
I'll take one of these free memberships he's talking about.
It's not a free membership, but
I'm saying in exchange, instead of money, you can be a sponsor. Just throw me a free movie.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'd take that. But yeah, AMC Theaters has their membership program. If you like movies, it's such a money saver to pay $20 a month for basically all the movies.
I mean, out here, if it's the same price out here, that's less than 2. If I only went and only paid for the ticket, if I see 2 movies, it more than pays for itself.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
And yeah, it's absolutely worth it. And so that's why the wife and I started doing these reviews. And Miss Moneypenny, we're watching Bad Boys 3 tonight. After this live stream, the wife and I are going to watch Bad Boys 3 while we're having dinner. So that's already, that was already the plan. We've watched a little bit of the beginning of it. We're up to Reggie's wedding is where we're at right now in Bad Boys 3. But yeah, having an AMC theater here in town, you can get reserved seats and you just pick out the movies you want to see. It's awesome.
Okay, they're not a sponsor. Let's get back to the.
But back to this, because we got to get through. We only got a half an hour left, and we're only halfway through the movie. And that's the amazing thing. This story is so deep that we're only halfway through it right now.
Yeah.
And so we see his friends from the boat, who we've gotten to know. Over
we are exactly at the halfway point of the movie.
Yeah, we've gotten to know them. The daughter, who you can see is a little older now. It's been a couple of years since the end of World War II, and Shikishima, who is just a wreck. And they're dealing with the fact that, the woman that he loved is gone. And now
Is this the scene where the guy's like, you should have told her how you felt. You should
Yes.
have married her. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's a good scene too.
Yeah, this is a scene with Shikishima and Doc, where Doc is basically telling him about what you should have, could have, did have. But Doc is also working with the civilian program, and he invites.
No, it was Captain that said that. Doc was telling him about.
You're right. Yeah. Doc was telling him about this. So since the military can't, Japan has no military at this point, and their security forces are too thin to really do much. The Americans
they're basically trying to recruit village people here.
So they're trying to get civilians to volunteer to try and come up with a plan to stop Godzilla. And since Doc was a weapons designer, he actually has a plan. And I gotta say, it's a unique and original idea that we have not seen in a Godzilla movie before. Yeah. And so,
it was a good plan.
Yeah. So here they have their little wooden Godzilla, which I love, in a fish tank. And he shows that. Now, I don't know if the physics of this is true or not. So, but what he's saying is that, like, if you release a bunch of nitrogen around Godzilla, that the bubbles from the nitrogen would prevent Godzilla from making physical contact with the water, which would make him sink like a rock. Now, I know that there are ways to insulate objects from water and make it so that this kind of thing would happen. I don't know if nitrogen bubbles would do it or not.
Well, man, Planet X does not want to let this go.
Dude, this is not a historical biopic. This is Godzilla. Come on, dude. Real. And so the idea is to sink Godzilla to the deepest point in the ocean that they can get him to hopefully crush him in the depths
with the pressure. And Creep, thank you. This gives me the opportunity to say, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please hop on over and give me a quick subscribe. Thanks.
Yeah. And because eventually Danny's going to start putting original content on his channel as well. You should get a movie subscription and start reviewing movies too.
Totally, yeah.
Like you were talking about doing it with your wife. I don't know, or your ex. I mean, Stacy. Is that right?
Yeah, the ex-wife.
Yeah.
But I can't even get her to do episode 2 of. It's a shame, man.
Because May Divorce Be With You is a clever little name.
It's a good name. It was a great idea. The fact that YouTube took us down really deflated her.
Right.
I'm trying to get her back, into it. So,
well, have you looked at the little review? And granted, we're still refining how we're going to do it. But have you looked at like the last couple of reviews that my wife and I posted?
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Yeah.
I got to figure out some kind of title card for our stuff, but I haven't even begun to think about that. All right, so. He shows how you can sink Godzilla, and if Godzilla is not killed by being at the depths, then the next plan is to inflate, and this is where they kind of demo. And so by strapping those to the nitrogen containers, it'll force Godzilla to go from the depths back to the surface in just a very short period of time. And if you don't know anything about being in the ocean, let me tell you, if you are deep underwater. And if you've never gone scuba diving, it's a weird feeling. The deeper you go, that pressure on you is just crazy. It's a lot more than being in the deep end of a swimming pool.
Yeah, that's something I have not tried yet.
Yeah, and so it's actually physically hard to breathe, because you have to force your belly out to breathe is a lot of work. Now, if you're that deep in the water and then bam, you go to the surface, in humans it causes a condition we refer to as the bends. And if it's
super chat.
And thank you so much. Planet X Godzilla 1 gaping plot hole is still really good. Hey, you know what? I don't even see that as a gaping plot hole. It's just a historical inaccuracy. What you're there? I think there's a plot hole is something that is a contradiction within the story. So if say, or like something that's not explained in some way. Like let's say that Tokyo is destroyed, but we never see the scene where Godzilla wrecks Tokyo, and you're like, wait, what happened to Tokyo? Right, so that would be a plot hole. Something is missing from the film. Yeah. However, in the case of the troops that were in Japan, that's simply a historical inaccuracy. And again, that's because this movie is not written for us. It's written for the Japanese people to show how they can recover and how they can restore their honor. And, it's not about white savior time.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, there are a couple of really good white savior films. I think The Last Samurai is probably my favorite. But this isn't a white savior film.
And that's one of my favorite sayings. We can't agree to disagree. We don't need to.
You can be wrong. That's perfectly okay.
You're stupid for not. Nah, let's just agree to disagree. So,
right.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Planet X. So in humans, it would be the bends. But they're talking about going from 1,400 feet, I think, something like that, down to the surface. That would cause explosive decompression.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, is that they're figuring that if Godzilla's not crushed by the depths, when they raise him up real fast, it will kill him.
Well, spoiler alert, it doesn't. But luckily for the
way to
viewers,
ruin the movie for everyone.
Well, if you haven't seen it by now. But Shikishima at the end has a plan C, and that
that they don't know about.
Yeah,
we'll get into that in just a minute. And so while they're working on that, Shikishima is his part of the plan is that so they have these boats that they're going to use to circle Godzilla and put the nitrogen containers on him. And Shikishima is going to use an airplane, because he is a pilot, to lure Godzilla to where the boats need to be to wrap him up and to sink him.
To get him to the deepest part.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what Shikishima they find this experimental airplane, an original design for this movie, which I think is pretty cool, that they want to use, but it's in shambles, as you can see from this shot right here. The plane is not in good shape. It's never been flown, and it's not even finished. And yes, creep. I actually said that towards the beginning of this live stream. We were talking about the title and what it means. That they went down from rock bottom. that's the best way. Yeah. So they need someone who can actually repair a damaged World War II aircraft.
If only we had been introduced to such a character. Oh wait,
that's right, we were. But the thing is, nobody knows where he is, and so what he does, and it's kind of a dick move, but it works.
It works.
Yeah, and so he tries to track him down and fails. And so then what he ends up doing is he sends out letters to everywhere that there's a record that he's ever been, to local newspapers and stuff, saying that it's the engineer's fault that everybody died.
Because he knew that would piss him off, because that's the opposite of
right. And so that brings him out of hiding, and he starts out by beating the crap out of Shikishima.
Ever living shit out of this dude.
Which is understandable, and Shikishima even lets him do it because he knows that what he did was dishonoring him. But it was a matter of saving the country versus his honor.
Well, and at this point, he's more doing it for revenge. He wants to kill Godzilla for killing the woman he loves.
Right. One of the things that gets the engineer to agree to it is Shikishima tells him, look, nobody else knows this, but I'm going to kamikaze Godzilla. Yeah. And so his plan is, plan C, as you said, is because we know Godzilla, nothing can kill Godzilla. And so we're going to load up this plane with explosives, and I'm going to fly this sucker right into Godzilla's mouth.
Yeah.
Because we saw, and again, this is great this is good writing, people. We saw earlier in the film that a blow to Godzilla's mouth hurts him.
Yeah. So if he can hit
him hard enough.
Yeah, and I actually, Oh my gosh, we'll get there when we get there. But like, I'm loving. Like, this shit's got me hooked at this point. I'm like, oh my
Right.
god. I'm at this stage. I'm like, I'm already forgiven 5 points. I'm giving it a 95, just like you did. I love this movie. This is good writing. This is a redemption done right. It begins. This guy chicken shits out of being a kamikaze pilot, and now he's like, he is gung ho. It's gonna kill me. But I'm taking him with me. I'm taking Godzilla.
Right. He's going to save Japan
Yeah.
from this unstoppable monster. And so, meanwhile, we have Doc, Captain, and Kid are going to be on the ships that are going to be doing this mission. Except Kid, he says, can't go because he's too inexperienced and he has a hurt arm.
And he's got a broken arm. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, sorry, Kid, you ain't going with us, which has Kid really upset. And so here he's looking over the aircraft, working on that.
And there was a little bit of foreshadowing. They say in that meeting earlier that Doc's running, where they're going over the plan about how, they're going to do this different. We're not using kamikaze pilots. We're not using planes without ejector seats. We want to win this war, and we want to be around to enjoy the victory.
Right.
And just there, you saw the guy
looking at the seat.
Yeah. So they do a good job of foreshadowing some stuff.
And by the way, while this is not this doesn't deal with modern left-right politics much, it does deal with some of the politics of how countries treat their warriors.
Yeah.
Because one of the things they do talk about, and this was absolutely true, and it's something we even deal with today with our modern military to a lesser extent, is sending the troops out without giving them everything they could have to win. And in this case, the Japanese pilots didn't have ejector seats in their planes. Mm-hmm. And so if they were shot down, you're going down with your plane.
Yeah.
And which is kind of funny because if you look at Kong Skull Island, what do we have? We have a Japanese pilot ejecting from his plane and landing on Skull Island. That couldn't actually happen.
Yeah. And Daniel, if you didn't say this about everything we review, it might have a little bit of weight. But you freaking love the Alkalite. So, anyway, but thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, this one is definitely praiseworthy. So,
yeah.
And so we have a little bit more drama with the nosy neighbor and talking about the little girl and how he's going to need her help when they do the mission. Again, good writing and really good use of a very young child actor here.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing to get a good performance out of someone this young. I don't know how old she is, but she is a baby. Look at her.
Yeah, I still say they must have pinched her toe or something to get her to cry here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I don't know what they did, but dang, it worked.
Yeah. He left the note. Well, I guess we'll show that here in a second.
Yeah. So here we have Shikishima talking to him about how the bombs are going to be armed and everything. And then he says, oh, but there's one more thing. And he cuts away.
Yes. Which is the third little, because I even asked you, I was like, well, what? And you're like, well, you'll see.
Yeah. So right there's the arming mechanism for the bombs is that little handle. Once he pulls that, then the bombs that are loaded in the plane will be set to explode on impact. Mm-hmm. And then he can kamikaze into Godzilla.
Yeah.
So here we see the daughter and Nosy Neighbor sees a note that basically we don't see what the actual text of the note is, but you know what the text of the note is because
he's basically saying, "Hey, I need you to keep her. I gotta.
I ain't coming back.
Yeah, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. And so then the mission starts, and holy crap is all I can say. It was so freaking good. So these guys salute him like the classic kamikaze thing. He's in the air, And man, I love this.
Bird, it's a
Yeah.
plane. It's Shikishima.
Yeah. So Shikishima, the thing when they cut back to the conversation from before, and when the engineer says there's one more thing, he explains that he installed an ejector seat and he wants him to live.
Yeah, they're about to show us that. Yeah. And that,
Which was
come back and live.
Yeah, that was the scene that got me to choke up a bit. Was when he said "live," you know.
Yeah. And see, and if this would have been it, still a 95. This is still a 95 for me.
So
Now it's about to get
Yeah,
a
so
little
this is
too
where you get
happy
some-
Hollywood. This is too happy Hollywood ending.
yeah,
for
so
me.
the nosy neighbor shows up. She's got a note, and Shikishima sees it, and he's like, "What?" And so they're like, "Oh, we got to check out whatever's in this note." And it turns out the girl is alive. Granted, she's jacked up, but she's alive.
All right, so here's the answer to the trivia question. The question, for those of you who missed it, at the beginning of our stream, the Criticalist trivia question was basically my mom had texted me earlier today asking me if this scene made me cry. And I gave her the answer immediately, which I would be happy to show if you guys don't believe me. But only one person gave the correct answer. Only one.
You know, who is that?
Well, I was hoping to put it on the screen. It was so long ago, I was trying to kill some time to find it. But the winner was Ariel. Ariel was the only one that said no. Because and the reply to my mother, that I can bring up quick and easy. The reply to my mother, she goes, "Did you cry when he got to the hospital and found her?" And I said, "No, I was pissed." She goes, "Why?" And I said, "Watch my review."
And I will agree that, look, her surviving a direct hit from a nuclear blast makes no sense.
It was too happy. So this is I would have been fine with one of two things. Either
Stanley asked, "Did you cry when she died in the attack?"
No, no, nothing here made me cry. I mean, I was like, things like that. And then I got mad. I mean, it did evoke emotion because I was like, I literally said, "You dumb bitch, why didn't you just tackle him? That way you both would have lived."
I'm not gonna lie, I got a little teary-eyed when he said "live."
Yeah.
I didn't like straight up cry, but I did, my eyes watered a little bit. Because that was a really great scene.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas, yes, Danny does have video evidence. If you are at supportsalty.com and you watch the watch along, you will see Danny's reaction to this scene.
Yeah.
I will vouch for the fact that he was genuinely just pissed off. He did not show any kind of sad emotion at all.
So I found it. That's where Ariel gave the correct answer. Managed to man up, maybe. Or
he didn't man up. He was just mad.
I was just mad because so one of two things I'd have been fine with. One of two things. Either he died in the kamikaze attack, no ejector seat, and then this is revealed so the little girl still has a mom. I'd have been fine with that. Or she stayed dead and we got the ending that we got before this. But to give us both of them just seemed too Hollywood happy ending for me. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm still giving it a 90 on Criticalist, 9 out of 10 essentially. Yeah. That's not bad at all. This is a good movie.
And Planet X, actually, that's a unfortunately that is a truth in movies. You can't kill attractive women. Generally.
I behaved myself on today's stream, but if you go to supportsalty.com, I'm drooling all over this chick the entire time.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Yeah.
And then we get the new Godzilla logo there. All right, so there we go. Godzilla -1.
Is it a mid-credit scene or is it right after this? They tease the
we didn't quite. Let's see, I didn't quite. Okay, so right here. So after her reunion, we see a chunk of Godzilla sinking into the ocean.
So yeah, they totally set this up for a sequel. Don't let Hollywood put their hands on it, please, God.
Oh, they won't.
Please.
Toho is very protective of their films. And so I don't think they're going to let a Hollywood director and make a sequel to this.
She did kind of, I had the hots for Hoshi too. You guys remember that? The longtime viewers know I find Hoshi from Enterprise smoking hot. I could see it. I can see the resemblance there.
Yeah. I love this movie. This is a monster movie done downright perfect.
Damn near perfect.
Yeah. The only problem with it was I agree that the ending was a little too Pollyanna-ish. And you know what? I think if they had just re-edited the scene with the nuclear blast where she tackled him and pushed him behind and went with him.
Yeah.
And she could have been injured fine, but not have us not do the fake out death thing. I didn't like it.
I didn't. Yeah, that's my, like I said earlier, either or, don't give us both, because I want to. It's not that I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just I want that emotional weight.
Right. It feels like you took away some consequence for what happened.
Yeah. But other than that, my goodness. Yeah.
And Aravic, as far as if they do a sequel, will they release it in theaters in the U.S.? I hope so. They did release this one.
They released this one. It was limited, but you saw it in the theater.
Yeah,
I remember
I saw
you
it
telling me to go see it. And
at my local AMC, the same one that I go to every week with the wife.
Yeah, and that was back. I was still drinking, and I had this weird thing where I didn't want to go to the movies by myself. And, so kept making excuses, but. I'm actually really glad I got to watch it with you for the first time.
Hey, and fed with 20 Australian dollars. Thank you so much, buddy.
Super chat.
Haven't talked to you in a little while. And says, just what the good doctor ordered after being given the arse.
He got fired, sacked.
Oh, man, that sucks. Raging nerddom and analysis, and fully agree. Keep Hollywood off this. Things of quality are rarer than hen's teeth these days. Also, hello, lads.
Hello,
Fed, it's really good to see you. I'm sorry that you got sacked, but hey, man, that just means there's something better for you.
And Aravic, I 100% agree. I wish I'd got over myself, but I was still drinking at the time. I wish I saw this in theaters.
This was a great theatrical experience, and this is. And like we were saying, I know this is the standard Hollywood sucks rant, but it's true that Hollywood thinks that they need to throw $200 million at a movie just to make something that's an action movie or a sci-fi movie or whatever. This is absolute proof that that's BS.
I want to say something to Doss Wolfen here. Congratulations! I saw your post. When you got engaged, and also, man, congratulations on the life-changing weight you have lost. I
don't know Doss Wolfen, so
I used before my alcoholic ways got me kicked off of Pop Culture Minefield. I used to do a show with them, and Doss Wolfen was on it with me a lot.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he's gone through a physical transformation, much like I did, several years ago. So good on you, man, and congratulations again on the engagement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this movie costs less than an episode of a Disney Plus show. And that's just, now, granted,
crazy.
Not all of that is visual effects. It's the fact that we overpay our actors. We overpay all the higher ups in movies get way too much money. There's no reason to pay. I mean, like Tom Cruise gets paid more than the entire budget of this film to make a movie. Yeah. That is just stupid. Don't get me wrong.
The Rock gets paid more for his salary in movies than this one cost.
Yeah, and look, I like Dwayne Johnson. Sure, I wouldn't mind. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a Black Adam versus Superman thing.
Yeah,
but at the same time, do you need to spend 25 million to put one guy in a movie? The answer is no. I think there should, like they talk about, you'll hear actors sometimes talking about being paid scale. And it's funny you should say that, playing through Star Trek Online. More and more, even the Discovery crap that includes far superior than the stuff they're releasing through TV. Yeah. And Star Trek Online is a low budget game, but yeah, it limiting things helps. It really does, because when you just give people an infinite pile of money, they create giant pieces of crap. but if you look at so they talk about scale a lot, and scale in Hollywood is what the Screen Actors Guild, the union, dictates is the minimum salary that you have to pay your actors. And by the way, that minimum salary is different depending on if your movie is declared a tentpole film, a big budget film, a mid budget film, a low budget film, or a micro budget film. And so the scale, that's why they call it scale, because it's different for each level of budget.
So I want to share something with people. So here, add to Steen. So this is your Criticless page.
Okay.
All right. So your very first Criticless review is of Godzilla -1.
I didn't realize that was my first review.
Your very
That's funny.
first review. You reviewed it on December 8th, 2023.
That's right after we saw it.
Right at the tail end of my raging alcoholic life, shit. And then, gave it a 95. And yeah, you were on me to watch this movie. And I really wish I'd have gone and seen it in the theater, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gave it a 95. I'm giving it a 90, and I'll explain. I've already explained to you guys why, and I will explain it in the review. And yes, my review is going to be in the style.
But what's the Criticless consensus right now on that movie?
Oh, let me pull that back up. Let me share it again. So that's a great.
Which I do like
question.
the fact that you can see that, like you can.
So if I click here, the overall 89% out of 110 votes. So it is sitting at most excellent. My Friends with Benefits is a little lower because the Salty Nerd guys didn't like this movie for some reason. So they brought the score down. So it's a 77% out of 5 votes. And
And that's a cool thing. So your friends, it will show you what your friends think of it versus what everybody thinks of it.
Yeah. But 110 votes to be sitting at 89%.
That's
It's
basically a 9 out of 10 is the general consensus,
which is what I'm giving it. So so definitely,
it definitely, it's definitely worth that kind of a score. I think that, but
hey, Doss
Hollywood,
Wolfen, thanks for coming by, man. I miss you guys.
Absolutely, buddy.
When I do step 9, I'm going to be reaching out to Gary. If he forgives me or not, that's on him. But I'm still working on step 4. But thanks for joining us, man. You have a good night.
So back to like what Fed Doc was talking about with Star Trek Online, and just the kind of crap that we've seen. With scale at pay on actors, producers, directors, etc. I think the scale needs to not only have a minimum salary, but a maximum salary. And I think that maximum salary for a big budget tentpole level film, I think max salary for an actor should be $1 million. There is no reason in hell that an actor should be making more than $1 million for 6 weeks worth of work.
I'm pretty sure The Rock gets like 20 mil a pitch.
Yeah. So does Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
And
so I do want to reply to Thomas's comment here. 100% agree. That's why, and I thought that's why the ending I docked 5 percentage points off for the ending.
Yeah, because her death inspired him.
How much of a gut punch would it have been for the viewer if he did the kamikaze thing, killed himself, and then we find out she's still alive? Because it's a happy for the girl, the little girl, the baby, but it's a gut punch. It was just too happy for me. Just too happy.
Right. Especially because like we probably would have gotten a close-up of him just before impact saying like he's going to see her again.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then find out that, no, she's still alive. You missed out.
It would have been such a gut punch. But either way, whether, he ejects, but she's still dead, or he doesn't eject and then she's alive. I feel like one of those two scenarios would have made this a 95 from me. Right. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's not enough to ruin the film.
Not at all. Not at all.
But it's just that, man, you were just a little bit off for making it too nice.
Yeah.
Creep. Jim Carrey for a while was getting $20 million a picture too. Yeah, and that kind of salary is stupid. It's absolutely because think about it. If you have 2 or 3 A-list actors, you've already spent $40 or $50 million. And you haven't even made one single shot of film yet.
That's
And
what I like the back end idea. Like the reason at the time Jack Nicholson made so much money off of Batman was because he took a back end deal.
right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger famously, him and Danny DeVito both took back end deals. They took the what do you call it, the scale minimum or whatever you were talking about?
Yeah,
both,
they took the scale minimum wage for their work and
for
then,
twins, but then they made back end money off of it. And the funny thing is Schwarzenegger is on record saying he made more money off of that movie than any other movie,
right.
because of the structure, the way they structured the deal.
And I don't have a problem with back end deals because it doesn't affect the production budget.
So hey, we know we're doing something right as far as our Criticalist stuff goes, because I'm going to share this real quick. Our buddy Planet X just posted this review, gave Godzilla's -1 a rad. So
Awesome.
I'm gonna give that a thumbs up, and thanks for joining us on Criticalist and reviewing the movie.
Is he part of our group yet?
If not, join our group, Planet X. It's called Nerd Fights, all one word. Just go up to search, you type in Nerd Fights, and then there it comes, groups right there. We're the only group with the name. So if you haven't already, give us I'm shouting into the void by myself. I'd like to get other people.
Yeah, Danny wants people to talk to on Criticalist, so please join him in there. And again, don't forget to tell Blaine that you came because of us, because we want Blaine to be our best friend when Criticalist is the size of rotten apples.
Yeah,
I love that he calls it rotten apples.
rotten apple. Yeah,
But yeah, when Criticalist is big, we want Blaine to remember us little people.
remember the little guys.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you, back end deals and royalties are where actors should get rich, not off of straight up salary.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And it's better for the actors too. It's just Hollywood doesn't want to do it because they know that it'll be better for the actors,
Right. But it's better for the actors. It's better for the production budget. Because imagine, like, if actors were capped out and were not making a ton of money, a movie like, say, The Avengers, the budget would be cut in half.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Thomas wants to know if we've done Dune 2. Yeah, we did Dune 2 a while ago.
Yeah, in fact.
And Danny hated it. No joke. Danny actually hated that movie.
So, no, yeah, here, I keep bringing up, I should just leave it here. So if we go to, how long ago did you make me watch that terrible movie? Here it is. Yeah. I gave it a 20. That's mine.
I don't even remember. Did I rate Dune 2? I don't think I did. So check your friends with benefits on it. See if
friends with benefits. Salty. Yeah, you gave it a 95.
Yeah, same score as Godzilla.
Yeah.
Now, Dune 2 was a great movie, but they didn't need to spend as much as they did on it. I think they spent something close to $300 million on it or something.
Yeah.
And that's the insanity of Hollywood. Because look, Zendaya was great. The kid that plays Paul Atreides was great. Josh Brolin, the whole cast was awesome. But they were so freaking overpaid. I love these guys, but if you really, really want to get an A-list celebrity that you think is going to bring people to the box office, then you pay them based on the box office.
Yeah, then they're going to be more invested in selling the movie.
Right.
They're not going to do the same canned interviews on their press junkets. They're going to be invested. They're going to have a reason to sell their movie.
Because their money is on the line. If I'm in a movie and you pay me my $20 million, but I know the movie's crap, and then I got to go around and do the obligatory press tour, I'm gonna be phoning it in, and you can tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When actors are, it's just like you can tell that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds not only had a great time making Deadpool 3, but love each other.
Yeah.
You could absolutely tell that from their interviews. But then you can also see when actors are just like, like when Brie Larson was sitting there with other actors from the MCU and everybody just wanted to leave the room. It's painfully obvious. Like, have you ever seen the one with her and what's his name? That's War Machine.
Don
Cheadle. Yeah.
Don Cheadle.
Did you ever see that?
See what? With
Brie Larson and Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle is sitting there like the whole time going, I want to leave. I just want to leave.
No, I didn't care enough to watch any behind the scenes stuff on anything she's in, really, to be honest with you. Last good movie she was in was Scott Pilgrim, you know. But
No, she was in Kong Skull Island.
oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. That is a good movie.
And hey, let's be fair. She was in Avengers Endgame, and that was a really good movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Even
When she's part of an ensemble, she's fine. When she's leading the movie, not so much.
she's definitely not. But yeah, so
this is. I just wanted to say thank you for getting me into this movie, and this was really, really good. And is there anything else you want to say about it before we head out?
Well, I